Hello and welcome to the Film Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. As always, I'm your host, Mac Taylor, and here with me today is...
It's Cole Selby again.
Yeah, we're actually recording these back-to-back, but for you people, it'll be about a week apart, so you won't feel as jet-lagged as I do heading into this thing. But this film we're talking about today is a bit of a wild train ride, so as far as, reeling me back in emotionally, I'm ready to go for this one, because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this movie.
Yeah, I had to hold myself back a couple of times.
It is... This film is Mandy. It came out in 2018 and was directed by a man whose name I'm probably going to butcher, Panos Cosmatos. This is he has one other known film that I haven't seen, so this is really the only thing that I'm familiar with of his work. But if his other movies are like this guy has a very unique style.
Yeah, very.
So without further ado, let's dive right in because we have so much to discuss.
Yeah.
However, in the start, we just have a lot of really drawn-out scenes with little dialogue of just
It's kind of showing them
interesting
in their life.
shot concepts.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful in its color scheme and it's the way it's directed and things.
Yeah, because in the beginning, it just opens up to our main man Nick.
Yeah, played by Nicolas Cage. The character's name is Red, but for in my notes, I always just wrote Nick Cage.
I just kept writing Nick. That's who he is.
It's very hard to disassociate Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. It opens up to him just at his logging job, just working, and then they leave.
Yeah, it's very... Not a whole lot happens.
We do get the little thing set in to where his coworker hands him a drink and he refuses it. So it obviously shows that he doesn't drink anymore. At this point.
Yeah, that changes.
Yeah, but that's kind of neat. We get that.
And we just get some interactions between him and Mandy to kind of set up their relationship. So they live out in the sticks. They're it seems like they're very minimalistic.
I think his place is called the Shadow Mountains. I think there was a weird transition there with that weird.
Yeah, there's all these title cards when things when it's each act, I should say, has a title card, and it's apparently takes place in 1983.
Yeah.
Which this film really could have taken place at any time. It didn't really need.
Yeah, nothing was really shown that really set in what period.
I mean, I guess they're watching cable, but also they're just kind of lower class people,
the dude
living out in the sticks. That's okay. They could still have a old color TV kind of deal.
Yeah, Mandy just kind of seemed like an old school kind of person, with the records and everything. I just I wouldn't have thought it was actually 1980. Yeah,
nothing really stood out to date the film as far as the year went, besides this title card. And so they just kind of have these middle school conversations about your favorite planets, and she talks about all these deep meanings of the planets. He brings up Galactus because Nicolas Cage can't not reference Marvel.
Yeah, I think she was talking about how Jupiter was her favorite planet, and then she went about why, and I completely zoned out on why she was saying why. The first part of the movie was definitely a little harder to sit through without.
The first 20 minutes are very slow, but then when shit happens, it happens. Because she sees a baby deer, and she talks about as a kid, her father made her and a bunch of neighborhood kids kill a bunch of birds, and so it does. I don't know why that's in there, but then again, I don't know why some other things are in here too.
I think it's supposed to show who Mandy is a bit more, because she says her dad comes up, it's I'm going to teach you guys how to kill these birds, and everyone, all of her friends but her kill a bird. She ends up running away. I think it's supposed to show us that she's a kind spirit, kind person or whatever, and that's the reason why she's targeted.
I guess
maybe
so. And also, she's reading a book, and we get a lot of inserts about ghostly, this is a fictional book. So not only did the guy who made the movie make the movie, but he made a commercial and then this book.
Yeah.
Which talks about ghostly lights and things. Which there's a lot of spiritual talk in this film.
Yeah.
By another character in particular, but while she's walking through the woods, she runs into Jeremiah Sand and his cult, and he spots her, and it's there's a lot to delve into in his character in particular.
Yeah.
Because he sees her just in passing, just a very quick thing. And it's like that old serial killer thing of like he saw her and like he had to have her, like he got in his head about like this obsession off of nothing because of just how unstable the mind truly is, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, this is when we get another title card.
Yes, the cult's name are the Children of the New Dawn, which is basically just a cult worshiping this guy.
Yeah.
So it's like him laying in bed and he's talking about how lost he is without her and how he needs her, and the elder woman of the group, her name is Mother Marlene, is like trying to comfort him, and he's like, you can't help me, you're completely worthless. And
yeah, like he just gets mean.
Real quick, like a flip.
Yeah.
But I love how the actor plays this guy. Like the way he just speaks and things, it's like very
egotistical.
Yes, very cult leader like.
Yeah.
Like they do a good job of it.
Yeah, like he definitely pulls off the narcissistic vibe. Like like I am God, or like God flows through me or something. He's all up about it.
Yeah, he says that you will not ascend without me.
Yeah.
So he gets Brother Swan, who is like kind of the elder guy, kind of like the right-hand man to the cult.
Oh, yes, Swan.
Who he tasks with getting Mandy. And so basically the plan is to bribe these psycho bikers with super acid and sacrifice this fat kid who's in their cult, probably for this purpose.
Yeah.
To sacrifice him.
Yeah, which I really like when he pulls out the ocarina.
Yeah.
And it's like then that green, that green flashy effect, and that's a really cool thing because it does pop up again later, with like other like
lighting and
or something.
There's a very D&D aesthetic.
It's
at points.
Like there's definitely a fantastical element beneath everything, and that's never explained.
No,
but it like roots this group as like, oh, they're actually doing stuff, and they have these things.
And it gives interesting lighting. Like the lighting just changes from the purples to the reds to in this point the greens.
Yeah, and they're really using it too. They're really using the lighting very well.
Because each certain lighting signifies certain things.
Yeah,
which I think is really like of all the cool things about this movie, that is the coolest, is the way it's shot.
Yeah,
and edited together. So this Cosmatos guy really has a unique vision for film. So, and then Sister Lucy, who I never pegged her age.
I'm
guessing she's underage.
Yeah, I would definitely guess she's underage.
And she doesn't look like she wants to be there.
Yeah.
It probably could have been she was also kidnapped and just has become used to this lifestyle.
Well, I got the thing to where it might be like Swan's daughter or something, because he wasn't really up for it. He was pretty apprehensive when Jeremiah asked for Lucy, but I mean that's never explained. I could just be wrong, or he might just not like the fact that he does that.
But yeah, she's sent in to basically have sex with him.
Yeah,
and it's very just unsettling as she closes the door. So then the mother figure, she goes to Mandy's store that she works at to basically find out where she lives. Yeah. This whole conversation is just to find out if she's nearby, and she gets that information. And of course, she talks about her shirt and her book and stuff. But like there's a very ominous vibe to this scene, because it's like the beginning of the calm before the storm, almost, of the what's to come.
That's when we get to the people in the van.
Yes, so they're pretty much all the main brothers are there to call. They have to blow this
ocarina.
To call the Black Skull biker gang. And they offer, it's like this giant jar of this LSD stuff that the guy just chugs which makes you wonder like how fucking tripped out these guys are all the time.
Which I think at this point in the movie we don't even know.
Yeah, we don't know who they are
yet. We don't know who these people are. We don't know why anything's happening. Well, I mean, we know why. It's gonna get Mandy.
Yeah, they blow the horn, and at first like nothing happens, and the one brother's like rolling up the window up and down, acting all bored. But then this black mist rolls in.
Yeah, the mist rolls in, and then it gets really red again.
And then they show up. So it's like they almost have this supernatural aura to them.
Yeah.
And they're designed. It's almost like they're almost like Cenobites in a way, right? Where they've got like this mutilation thing going on. Like one of them has like nails all over his body, and the other one has like a blade codpiece.
Yeah.
It's very sadistic in design, but in an almost sexual way.
Yeah, like and after that, like he chugs for more blood, and he chugs, and he's like, I want more, and he's like, you know what you have to do first.
Yeah.
And that's when we get to Mandy and Nick,
who are watching the film. I believe it's called Blood Beast. This is a Dom Doller film from the old days.
Wow.
Which is weird that I immediately was like, hey, I know that movie. And so like during their kind of, they're like trying to watch TV before they go to bed because they got work and shit.
And then we get the weird scene where Nick goes outside to smoke, and then just has this weird pan outside, and I guess he gets really unsettled because only takes like 2 hits off a cigarette and flicks it out, and just to go back inside.
Yeah, and then the bikers, they knock out Cage and then steal Mandy and him. And they also take the fat kid sacrifice, so he's like pulled into the abyss.
Yeah, like we don't really know what.
We don't really know what they do with them necessarily, but from what we hear later, it's a lot of just mutilation, murder, torture. The kid's not gonna have a good day.
No.
So then Mandy wakes up, and Mother Marlene and I believe the other younger sister is there.
Lucy?
Yeah. And she puts acid, like LSD eye drops in her eyes, and then there's this giant wasp.
Yeah, they take it out with like a jar.
Well, it's like, I think it's dipped in like LSD, so when it stings her in the neck, it injects LSD into her neck.
Which, like, was insane.
Yeah, it was like... And, like, the girl's, like, licking her fingers. I'm like, no wonder why these people are batshit insane. Their minds have been fried by hallucinogenics.
They've been taking way too much acid.
Way too much. Because nobody handles shit with gloves in this movie. Like, we'll see later with the chemist. He's just dipping shit by hand.
Yeah, which I was immediately like, what are you doing? Don't touch that. Wear gloves.
Yeah, so it's fucking, like... You kind of understand why these people are insane in a way, but Jesus Christ.
Indeed.
So then she's brought to Jeremiah. They're all like sitting around the couch, and everybody's tripping their fucking balls off. But you're seeing it through Mandy's perspective, because she's not always on drugs, and there's like this really purple, dark hue to it in Jeremiah's. This is his big moment kind of in the movie.
Yeah.
Where he talks about like being the light and that I recognized you when you called out to me silently and I listened to you, like as almost like she wanted him to take her away.
Yeah, that's definitely big cult stuff right there. Make them think they wanted it. It's weird.
And then he plays a record that he himself made.
Yeah.
Singing a song about himself.
Yeah.
And there's a parallel that the director was going for Sand to be kind of like Charles Manson. Because Sand is a failed musician who, in his own mind, trying to hype himself up, has created this God complex of like, I deserve the world, right?
Yeah.
And Manson was also a failed musician who kind of turned to this cult leader thing to try to like grasp stuff. In the era before the internet, this is kind of how you had to get your followers, was through cult activity.
Yep.
So like you can tell like Jeremiah doesn't really believe it deep down, but like the delusion, like when you lie to yourself for so long, there's the little bit of you're trying to trick yourself into going along with it in a way.
Yeah. After that, that's what we get a really cool shot after that of him getting really. It's really close up on Jeremiah's face while he's talking to. Mandy.
And it's like, and then like Mandy's face is like overlaid onto his face, and it's hard to tell what is his face and what is her face.
Yeah, it shifts in and out throughout this, and that was a really cool looking shot.
Very cool. Like the only times you can really like, because Mandy has very distinct eyes. And she has like a little scar on the side of her face.
Yes, she has a scar on the side of her face, and and her eyes are just very.
And like sometimes when you see his
big.
lips moving, you see there's something in front. But like I would sit there and I would stare at it. I'm trying to figure out like when it went in and out. And it was kind of difficult, but it was a very beautifully shot scene. And so he goes on this big, power trip spiel, and he like unrobes himself. So we get a very long and uncomfortable dick out scene.
Yeah.
Where he's basically asking her to have sex with him, but like in a way to again spin it to where like of course she would want to have sex with him in a way. And then she's like, "You wrote this song," and again she's fucking tripping her balls off. She's like, "You wrote this song?" He's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "It's about you?" And he's like, "Yes." And then she just starts laughing uncontrollably because again she's on acid.
Yeah, and then he just gets pissed.
Oh, because that's when you're like thinking you're a godlike being, and especially your music, which is the thing that brought you to the game in the first place. And someone insults that, like you like that's gonna like shake your core because that's like questioning. Because this guy in his day-to-day activities never gets told no, and then to be literally laughed at is like a deep trigger for him. So he lashes out angrily, and basically like in the mirror, essentially he's asking God what to do, but really he's asking himself what to do.
You only see him from his reflection.
Yes.
You don't even see him.
It cuts to Cage outside.
Yeah.
He's like strung up with barbed wire.
Yeah.
Like tied up, made to watch what's about to go down. So basically they kind of come and taunt him, saying like you and your whore wasted my best LSD, and I'm gonna show you that true horror can only be distinguished with fire.
Yeah.
And then he has what he refers to as the tainted blade of the pale night, which is an actual direct D&D reference.
Yeah. Yes, it is from the Abyssal Lands.
Yes. So he takes said D&D object and stabs Nicolas Cage in
which again stroves
midsection.
with a green light as it's revealed to show that it's mystical.
Which is really cool. Because like when I heard that, I'm like, is that a real thing? And when I looked it up for the movie, you obviously knew that right off the bat, but I did not. But I thought that was cool how they just kind of like shoehorned that in there.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. Yeah, that's when Nick gets stabbed.
Yep, and then they set Mandy on fire, which they have her like strung up in a sleeping bag, and it kind of cuts around the fire of like everyone celebrating except for Sister Lucy, who is looking like in horror, and then Jeremiah, who looks like disappointed.
Yeah,
everybody else is like laughing and smiling, and one of the brothers was like pretending to shoot a gun for some reason. I'm not sure what that was about, but like again, these people are out of their fucking minds.
Yeah.
And so she burns to death, and then Nick Cage kind of goes in and out of consciousness, and he wakes up and they're leaving, and he somehow slips out of his bar, like he like mutilates his hand to get his hand out, and he goes to her, and like her ashes are like starting to then blow away.
And we just get like a shot, and then he just goes in his house and he just walks in.
Yep.
And picks up a shirt, sniffs it.
Well, yeah, and then we get the Cheddar Goblin commercial.
Yes.
Which is kind of like a Kraft mac and cheese kind of thing, but the mascot vomits macaroni and cheese onto these kids.
And they're loving it.
Oh, and they're thrilled. They're fucking over the moon. And so we get like that whole commercial, and then Nicolas Cage is like, Cheddar Goblin.
Cheddar Goblin.
Yeah, I don't know why he fucking felt the need to say it out loud.
What was the point of that scene?
To shoehorn this commercial they made, I guess. But like, it was funny.
Yeah.
Because it comes out of fucking nowhere.
And this when we get the great toilet
first
scene.
we get the animated, the trippy, creepy animated Mandy where she's like, and she's like burning.
Yeah, that was like, I like how his dream sequences are all animated like that.
Yeah.
They're really cool.
And then he wakes up again, and he goes into the bathroom where he's hidden like a bottle of vodka. Because again, we showed in the beginning he struggles with alcoholism, but he has like a stash. and he proceeds to just chug vodka. He's in his underwear and an Ed Hardy t-shirt, and he is chugging vodka and just screaming.
Yeah, just growling and just...
And this is like a 5-minute scene. Like, it's a long scene of just Nick Cage chugging vodka and washing it down with a good, healthy dose of screaming.
Yeah.
Which apparently... This is like one of the most Hollywood things I've ever heard in my entire life. He had a screaming coach on set. Because apparently... Nick Cage doesn't know how to scream properly.
Oh, okay.
Which doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's just screaming. But it was a fantastic scene of just like, if I was going to like recreate a scene from this movie, that would be the one I would want to do, is the vodka and screaming. It was fucking awesome.
Yes.
So then he goes and meets Carruthers, who is what this guy used to do, as to why he would have a crossbow hidden with this other guy.
Yeah.
And we never get any revelation of this. And Carruthers is really only... because the crossbow isn't super necessary either. So he only really is in this scene to explain who the biker gang is to Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Because he's like, who you hunting? And he's like, a bunch of Jesus freaks. Yeah. And these bikers, doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense, Nicolas Cage. You are correct.
Yep. I like we're on the same page with the protagonist.
Yes. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I heard about the Black Skulls. And from some... and again, I don't know who his sources are. We heard about a bunch of hookers and truckers going missing and blood and guts everywhere. And you got to be real careful.
And he's like, you don't have a good chance of living if you go up against them or something. Like,
which, does he really care about being alive right now?
Of course not.
But basically, the biker gang, like, someone made like a special batch of LSD, which is what they've been drinking, which has warped their minds ever since. Because Jesus fucking Christ, everyone's just on an uncomfortable amount of hallucinogenics in this movie.
Yeah. And then he's like forging.
Yeah, he forged this giant axe, which is apparently a logo for a metal band that the director liked. That's why he made this axe. But it's like, we didn't know he had blacksmith skills, and then all of a sudden, where is he making this axe at?
Yeah, there's just a forge somewhere he just goes to and gets to use.
Yeah, and so he makes this crazy giant axe, which is it's so cool looking.
Yeah.
Which I think that was the thought process in writing it. Is like, well, we need something really cool for him to use as a weapon.
We need to show Nick Cage being manly.
Yeah.
And be a blacksmith.
He's already screamed and chugged vodka. Now we got to have him do something else really cool. So he makes the axe, and then we get the actual title card for the movie 2/3 of the way into the movie, which is fucking cool too.
Yeah, it's like in a really cool like death metal font.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And so he shoots one of the bikers with all the nails in him, shoots him with the crossbow, and then hits him with his car, flipping his car.
Yeah.
And then he passes out and is taken captive by the other bikers.
Which, like, I don't see how hitting someone with your car would make your car flip.
Well, because that guy has all those fucking nails on him and shit. And he's also, like, basically he has no brain. He's just a machine wired on hallucinogenic drugs.
I'm just going to get slapped by this car. I'm going to flip your shit.
He's also really huge, too. That's also part of it. But yeah, that happens. He completely fucked. Like, car's done.
Yeah.
So then he wakes up again. Because, again, this whole movie, he's in and out of consciousness for various reasons. And he's, like, cuffed to a pipe, but also, like, his hand is nailed to the floor.
Yeah.
And the main biker who was talking to the cult earlier in the movie, which they have this very like demonic voices.
Yeah.
He's like, "Do you have a death wish?" And then Cage breaks the pipe, has a scuffle, and tosses him into this random giant hole in the floor.
Yeah, just right next to him. Just right next.
Like, what was this room, and why is there a giant pit in it? But again, it looked really cool, but it was like, what the fuck is going on? Because this is the point in the movie where shit starts happening, and you're like, I don't know what's happening, but this is really cool. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which I warned you a little bit.
Yeah.
But I wanted you to go in completely blind just so you could really let this movie encompass you.
It was a lot.
And then we get another trippy animated bit. So he gets out and he finds 2 bodies which have been fucked to death.
Yeah.
And then we see the bladed codpiece biker doing a fuck ton of cocaine.
A lot.
And watching porn. Which, again, it's like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And he goes to attack him and gets, like, flipped through a table. And the guy tries to use his blade dick. And it gets stuck in the floor. And then Cage cuts his neck with a box cutter, and blood just spews because the guy's screaming.
Yeah.
And so it's just blood. Oh, and then Nicolas Cage is just screaming back at him.
You're getting all that blood in your mouth.
Yeah, and so he just looks fucking batshit insane at this point. And then he gets up, and then another fucking
another
biker shows up.
Yeah, he shoots the TV right next to him, and then like his gun jams.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
And then Nick Cage, I don't know what he was screaming at him. I couldn't really make out what he was saying.
I don't know. Like, I think that's something we have to ask Nick Cage about.
Yeah, maybe only Nick Cage knows what he said.
I have no idea what he was screaming at him about, and then he just goes and like fucking snaps his neck and has a really weird look at the camera right as he does that. He snaps that dude's neck. He has that classic Nick Cage face going on. This is when he went full Nick Cage. Like, this is the point in the movie where he's bug-eyed, wide mouth, teeth.
Yeah,
like the Nick Cage.
And then he does cocaine off a shard of glass.
Yeah.
And then tongue dips into the super LSD, which he dips his tongue and all this crazy fucking shit happens.
Like, I don't know why you would find a jar of strange liquid, take a little tasty poo, and thinking that's gonna end well. Like, it was thick. It could have been anything. It was viscous fluid in a dirty jar.
But yeah, he tried it out. It fucked up his brain a little bit.
He got whacked out.
And then he gets his really cool axe. Mm-hmm. And his crossbow too, which he shoots at the last one. He's like by a burning car for some reason.
Yeah.
And not phased, just pulls the arrow through his own shoulder or neck or whatever.
Blood's just spurting out of him. He just doesn't care at all.
And so Nick Cage goes to fight him. And he's like taunting him, like, she still burns. And then he knocks him into a car, which he then catches on fire and is still taunting Nick Cage whilst on fire. Yeah. And then he decapitates him with the crazy cool axe and then lights a cigarette on the decapitated head that was on fire. That's metal.
Yeah. And then he smokes and we get a good long stare down from Nick Cage
as he's heavily puffing this cigarette.
We get a lot of good stare downs from Nick Cage in this movie.
We do. No one was dry in the entire room. Okay, so at this point, he finds this is when he goes and finds the chemist.
Yeah, which he finds him through because when he took the LSD, he got like a bunch of these weird visions and stuff, and one of them was the radio tower that the
chemist is at making all this.
Under. Which I don't know how that would happen. I don't know how you would get that information. I guess if you make drugs and someone takes them, they know your location now. There's GPS signals through.
Listen, Cole, there's D&D weapons in this movie. I'm not going to question the acid. So he finds the chemist, played by Richard Brake, who is hand dipping, like bare hand dipping acid and licking it off his fingers. Yeah. So this guy's off his fucking rocker. Yeah. And he has a random tiger in the cage in the room. Yep. Which apparently, a fun fact about this is that in the early draft of the script, Lizzie was supposed to be a lizard. Oh. Hence Lizzie. And when Brake showed up to set, assuming it would be a lizard, they're like, oh, hey, by the way, Lizzie's a tiger now. And he's like, oh, what? Oh, okay.
By the way, Lizzie's a tiger now.
Which I think is a big insight to how this movie was made.
Yeah.
It's like, let's see how we feel when we get to set.
Let's see how we feel about the tiger. Like, we just feel out the tiger. That's not something you feel out. Okay.
And so he has this conversation about some religious shit, and then
he's like, oh, they hurt you. You're surrounded in darkness. Like he's like supposed to be like some prophet or something.
And then, he does show remorse. He's like, oh, that's real messed up what they did to you, man. Yeah, he's not part of the cult. He's just kind of
He's just a dealer.
He's just the guy who makes the drugs. Yeah. And so he like lets the tiger out because he said God told him to. So and then the tiger just walks away.
Yeah, I guess the tiger was chill too. Maybe.
Well, he said if the tiger's calm, he knows the drugs are good. So this tiger is also tripping on LSD.
Okay. Wow.
Yep. Okay. and then Nicolas Cage he tells him where the cult is, and he just on his merry way leaves the guy to trip on acid.
Yeah. Which still like, and he only says to go north. I mean, he didn't say where north.
It's true.
I mean, I guess he finds out.
Well, I guess we just keep going north.
I mean, this is Nick Cage talking about. He's gonna find his way.
He just takes more drugs, he'll have more visions.
Yeah.
The oracle that is the drugs.
Basically. Don't we get another dream after that too?
Well, yeah, he's like dreaming of like riding through hell, like literal hell, like and gets stuck in the ashes. And then just starts walking, and then we get another animated naked Lizzie or Mandy sequence.
Yeah, she's like, we get another bright green glow from this one too, and she's like pulling something out of like
a demon.
A dead demon, and like her eyes are glowing green, and she's like lifting it up, and I don't know what this is supposed to be.
Panos Cosmatos must have been a real big fan of the movie Heavy Metal, because like that feels like something out of that.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, it's really cool looking. But I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I don't. It's maybe if we understood what that fake book is that they
maybe if we took a bunch of LSD, this would all make sense.
I bet, probably.
No, let's see here. I gotta get more. Okay, so then brother, like he has like a spike strip or something.
He says something like caltrops.
Yeah.
In front, like on the dirt road to stop the van.
And so Brother Swan's like, oh, man, this is an inconvenience. And then Cage just blindsides him.
Yep, just knocks him in the dome.
And then for some reason, Brother Swan thought it would be a good idea to then start making fun of Mandy in front of him.
Like he has an axe. And he was already about to kill you. And then you stop him with your dumb shit.
Which just makes him wants to kill you more hardcore.
Yeah, which he does.
He puts the pointed handle of the axe in his mouth and just shoves it down his throat like Stevie in the Giant Lollipop.
Yeah.
Except this one has a lot more blood than that kill scene had.
Yeah.
And then he lets the Sister Lucy go because she didn't really, and she doesn't really, like, she's like, cool, this guy's dead, I can leave now. Like, again, she didn't seem like she was really part of this thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he lets her go and makes his way to the people he really wants to kill.
Yeah.
And all this happens in like the last half hour. Like the last half hour of this movie is fucking packed.
Yeah, it's a lot of movie.
So then he tosses an axe because the younger brother that was messing with his name is Brother Hanker, is like washing his car.
Yeah.
And he like hits him.
Mariachi brand.
Yeah. And he hits him in the head with the axe, which splurts blood everywhere. Yeah. It was really good.
It was a really cool silhouette effect from that kill.
Because it just comes out of nowhere. Like, hey, that's cool.
We just get that shot of the axe just spinning through the air. I'm like, awesome.
It was built to be very aerodynamic. Like that makes sense that axe would travel a long distance because it's designed to catch the wind. Then he gets into a motherfucking chainsaw fight.
Yeah, he's got
with Brother Klopek.
Yeah, he's got his chainsaw. He's still trying to get it started, and then this dude whips out like a 3-foot long chainsaw. Just blah blah.
This is a big dick contest.
Yeah, definitely.
And they get into it, which that's so cool.
Yeah.
No matter how confusing this movie is, we got a motherfucking chainsaw fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the big chainsaw's still running on the ground, and he knocks Brother Klopek onto it, which then just saws the shit out of him.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was pretty
fun death.
At first I was like, oh, he's just going to pick up the chainsaw, and like he's probably going to do something weird. He's probably going to do like a little funny face or something, because now he's got the big chainsaw. No, he just makes him fall on top of it, which was really cool.
And then he runs into Mother Marlene, who talks about how good at sex she is.
I'm thinking she was like trying to
seduce him, but that didn't work.
Nope.
Because in the next scene, we see Jeremiah at the church, like, naked, acting, like, weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
And he just tosses Mother Marlene's head at him.
And he just freaks out. I was like, ah! And, like, kicks the head away.
Because at this point, Jeremiah's, like, struggling with not wanting to die, but also trying to maintain his godlike image.
Yeah.
Even though no one else is there. Like, your entire cult is now dead or gone.
Mm-hmm.
So the shtick is up, right?
Yeah.
So Jeremiah, at first, like, begs for forgiveness and also offers to suck his dick.
Yeah, cause as soon as like Nick gets there, he's like, it's like, oh, you're worth this or whatever, and then he like takes a step, and he's immediately like, oh no, I can help you, man. Like, come on, dude. And then he gets even closer, and that's when you get he. I love how just immediately how much he breaks down so quickly and just gets super scared of Nick. And then just switches right back.
Yeah. And then he's like, all right, let me try to maintain. After offering to suck this guy's dick, let me bring it back.
Let's bring it back a bit.
Yeah, let's reel it in. Might have come on a little too strong there.
Oh, God.
So then he, while he's going on about this God stuff, Cage like crushes his motherfucking head in his hands. Oh, yeah. He says, "I am your god now."
Yeah, and the whole time while Nick speaks, like his voice is all distorted and deep
because of all the drugs.
Yeah, and all the drugs. While Jeremiah's just like he's like weak.
And he's just deadpan staring the camera.
Yeah, for like a while.
Long time.
Wow.
And it's got that. The lights are flashing.
Yeah,
so it's a good thing no one had epilepsy.
Yeah, it was a very low flash, but it could still be jarring. Then he like set him on fire.
Yeah, he crushes his head, sets the church on fire, and then drives off with the ghost of Mandy.
Yeah, which
that's then the end of the film.
Which I was thinking, like the end of the movie, like what that little sequence was because we get that really weird. Like, then we get that flashback of when I was assuming when he first met Mandy at a party. Because, it's like, he's eyeing her and then she looks at him, like, has that little, like, bite lip thing, which I would like, it looks like, just like she's looking at him. Like, it looks like
your guess is as good as mine.
Or like a bar, and they're like, ooh, what's up? And then we get to another cut of him. We see him in the driver's seat from the view of the passenger side. Yeah. And then we flip back, and we see Mandy. There. And then we flip back, and it's him all bloody, all crazy-eyed. And I think that's him justifying his own actions to himself by telling himself that Mandy would have wanted it in a way, because it seems like Mandy is content in that shot, in that scene, even though she's not actually there. It's the drugs. But
it's hard to tell.
I feel like I hurt my brain trying to wrap around like logic.
So we're getting into the trivia section. We don't have a whole lot on this movie because it's still fairly new.
Yeah.
But want to guess how much the budget was, Cole?
The budget. I want to say like I'll give it like a $10 million.
$6 million budget.
Wow.
How much did it make in the box office?
I can't see a movie like this making too much, but it had to have made more. It had to have made at least like I'd give it like a $50 million.
$1.4 million. So this hemorrhaged money.
What?
Well, because it had a very limited theatrical release and then went straight to video.
Oh.
So people rented it, people bought it, people watched it, but it didn't like have this big.
I would have expected to at least make a good. Decent chunk of
money.
Also,
like, other than like us, who the fuck was the target audience for this movie? Like, it's very,
Cage fans.
I guess. And then some. I mean, obviously, we don't have to. We all know Nick Cage. That's not someone we have to mention what he's been in. He's been in like every movie that he's offered. The chemist was played by Richard Brake, who was in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And The Mandalorian Season 2. He was in that as well. It's very easy to tell Richard Brake has a very distinct face.
Yeah.
And I've seen him more recently in stuff I've been watching. It's kind of funny. I'm like, hey, it's Richard Brake. And then Carruthers, played by Bill Duke, who was from Predator. He was the guy who was always shaving.
Okay.
And then Mandy, played by Andrea Riseborough, who was in Birdman, which I watched not too long ago. It's a Michael Keaton film.
I've heard about that.
I will say that actress has a very unique look to her.
Mm-hmm.
And the film obviously very much accentuates, like, her pupils always look huge.
I noticed in one of the shots that, like, one of her corneas were, like, slightly larger than the other one. Like her eyes,
she has a
different color,
very unique look to her.
Yeah,
which I guess was the point of like why she would stand out to this guy driving through the whatever. But yeah, I really think even though she didn't do a whole lot in this movie because she just is there to be murdered to drive the plot forward, she is memorable. Yeah, in what she does. This was Cage's first movie post-divorce. He was going through divorce, so he said his frustrations of divorce were let out in this movie, which I can very clearly see. Yeah, maybe that's what that vodka and screaming bit was for. Probably. Like, she's taking half of everything. Let me just talked about that. The only other Nicolas Cage was offered the role of Jeremiah Sand initially, which I could kind of see, but he didn't want to play that role. He's like, I'd rather play the character Red, which is the main character. And he's like, I don't know, I just don't see you in that role. But I guess like after a while, he kind of like came around to the idea, which I guess like it's either have Nicolas Cage in your movie or don't have Nicolas Cage in your movie, which Nicolas Cage, for a lot of people, including myself, is the selling point for this film. Even though I like the film a lot on its own merits, I probably wouldn't have been so quick to watch it had Nicolas Cage not been so Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, like I said, like the one thing I heard about the movie, without spoiling anything for myself, is that it was the most Nick Cage movie out there.
Exactly. So I think the director made a correct decision in letting Cage play that role. Although, I mean, Cage in the role of Sand would have been interesting, but I think Red was more suited for him because he can play that unhinged character so well. Whereas Sand has all this dialogue and things, and maybe he does a good job, and maybe it might not. And
it's not like he isn't unhinged either. He's just more in control of it.
Yes, but I just feel like the character of Red felt like a Nicolas Cage character.
Yeah, like the descent into manic madness.
In a Cage madness.
Yeah, Cage madness.
I think they made the proper decision there with that. That ends the coverage. Final thoughts on Mandy, Cole?
I feel a little exhausted from watching that.
It is a lot.
But it's a cool movie. There's definitely some things to watch out for and pay attention to. The shooting is really cool. The colors are nice.
I think it benefits from watching multiple times. This is like a movie you have to just every few years keep coming back to try to maybe get something else out of it.
Maybe trying to hit, connect some points together, seeing if maybe there's a reason why they showed this thing, or I want to know why Mandy's animated self was pulling out a green orb from a demon.
I need a director's commentary, which right now isn't out there. I need Panos Cosmatos, please make a commentary, because I need to know why your brain, because he also wrote the film, I need to know why your brain works the way it works. I need to know this. I can't sleep until you tell me what this movie is.
He's probably not going to, because he probably doesn't fucking know. Or he probably doesn't remember. He was probably high. He's like, I wrote that movie about an afternoon.
Yeah, get high and do the commentary. I enjoyed it. There's fun fight scenes, there's fun gore, there's interesting performances. It's of the 4 movies we've done on this podcast together, this is the one I've enjoyed the most.
Yeah, it was nice. It was fun.
Because it's so just fucking batshit insane.
Yeah. And you really don't feel the length of it.
No, it's 2 hours, but the first 20 minutes are the hardest part to get through. Once you get into it, and all the Jeremiah stuff happens, and then the movie does not slow down, pretty much. It just keeps fucking going. And you have so many questions that even if there is a lull, you're like, what? You're like talking yourself through it, and then something else crazy happens, and then you're drawn into that.
That might be why there might be so many drawn-out scenes, just to give people a break, to breathe.
Let you digest what just happened.
There's too much craziness in this movie to throw it all at you. It's like rapid fire. It's like, we'll put the camera on Nick Cage for a minute and let you just settle in. Nick Cage, just look at the camera.
Yeah. And, of course, Nick Cage can't just do something simply. He must act the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And make you feel slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah. But, just in silence. It's just you and Nick Cage in silence. For multiple
If you ever wanted to know what it's like to hang out with Nicolas Cage, this is probably the closest you can get to that. But like I said, if this movie didn't have Nicolas Cage, I don't know how much I would enjoy it. It's just the Nicolas Cage of it all really Like that character drives the movie, and I don't know if anyone else could have really been as crazy as Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, definitely Nick Cage is a reason why I was so excited to see it, because I know who he is, I know how he is, and I'm like, oh, this is great.
Also, guys, feel free to comment down below. Have you seen this movie? How fucking Nick Cage did you feel it was on a scale of 1 to Cage? Where does this movie fall? Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. We got plenty of fucking blah 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 blah. Try that again. We got plenty of fucking podcasts coming this year, not just with me and Cole, but also just with everything I got going on the channel. And we not just have podcasts, we have plenty of movie reviews and also short films and things coming as well. Join us next time. We're going to be talking about the 2020 film Spree. And then March, we're going to start a theme of sort. I don't know what yet, but we'll get back to you when we figure that out. By next podcast, we'll have something planned out. So until next time, stay safe and stay nerdy. We're out.